If you can't answer these three questions within 30 seconds, you have a problem. What is your current net worth? What is your single biggest spending category in your personal finances? And how does your spending this month compare to last month? Can you quantify that difference? If you don't know the answers to these three questions, or if you'd have to log into several accounts and do some math to find out, then this video is for you. This video consists of three parts. First, we're going to cover what I call the guessing game and explain why this is hurting you financially. Second, I'll walk you through my personal finance control center, aka Monarch Money, and I'll give you a complete overview of what this tool does and how it works. And lastly, I'll share my best practices for how to use Monarch Money after using the platform myself for over a year. The old management adage is true. What doesn't get measured doesn't get managed. Without a central source of truth, you aren't making strategic financial decisions. You're making guesses based on what you think your financial data is. And that can be a costly mistake. For example, I realized this myself about a year ago when I started meticulously tracking my spending. I quickly realized just how much of my family's spending goes to our housing costs. We have a goal of saving and investing over 50% of our take-home pay, but that becomes extremely difficult when your housing costs were as high as ours. I obviously knew what our monthly mortgage payments were and how much we typically pay in utilities, but when you start adding up all of the adjacent but necessary costs of owning a home, such as repairs and maintenance, big capital expenditures, etc., it became clear to us that this was a real impediment to us achieving a 50% savings rate. And because I had the facts, not just a guess or a vibe on my housing costs, we were able to take action on this. And we're actually planning some big lifestyle changes in 2026 to slash our housing costs, but more on that in a future video. So that brings us to my personal finance control center, and that system is Monarch Money. I view it as the operating system for my household's wealth. Monarch is a platform designed for personal finance tracking, budgeting, and even long-term planning. It's not just a place to see your transactions, but it's a place to really dive in, interact, and fully understand your financial life. You can automatically aggregate every account you own, checking, savings, investments, even your mortgage and property values into one connected system. This eliminates the need to have to log into all of these different accounts and bank portals to see your full financial picture. And honestly, I've been impressed so far. The user interface is clean, intuitive, and clearly built for adults who want to analyze their data. Currently, Monarch is a paid service priced at about $100 per year when billed annually. They claim they'll never have ads and never sell your data, so that's a plus. Monarch comes off as a very professional, clean software, and you get what you pay for. One note though, this is not a sponsored video by any means, but I do have a referral link in the description below. This will get you 50% off your first year of Monarch Money if you sign up using that link, and it's at no additional cost to you. It does help the channel as I get a referral reward as well, so it's a win-win. Lastly, I want to share some of my best practices and recommendations so far after over a year of using Monarch Money. In my opinion, I've found the most useful feature of Monarch Money to be tracking your income and spending and visualizing them on these beautiful Sankey charts. I found them incredibly effective at surfacing key insights about my finances, all in one visual. But one key here is how you categorize your spending. And I've revised this a few times to try to strike a balance between efficiency and detail. If you have too many categories, it becomes more challenging to automatically track everything and ensure that everything's being labeled correctly. But if you're too high level in your categories, then I've found the information to be a little less actionable and that you have to do too much digging to figure out what's going on with your money. So after a year of using the platform, the categories I'm currently using are housing, transportation, household shopping. This includes my groceries, Costco and Target runs, etc. I also have eating out, health and wellness, travel, children, which includes my childcare, a very large expense for me and many others. And then I have investments, and I have other, which is my remaining miscellaneous smaller items. I will say these are just the categories that I've found work best for me and my family. I encourage you to really personalize this and ensure your categories really fit you, snugly like a glove. In addition to tracking my income and spending, I also use Monarch Money to track my net worth. It keeps track of all of the current value of my assets like cash, stocks, and real estates, and balances them against my liabilities like credit card balances and any loans. This is done pretty much automatically, so every month you can just sit back and see how your net worth changes, and hopefully in an upwards direction. But that's not all Monarch can do. I also find it useful for tracking the performance of your stock investment portfolio against a major index like the S&P 500, as well as setting savings goals and tracking your progress along the way. I even use Monarch Money to monitor my credit score, mainly just to keep an eye out for any unexpected changes or signs of identity theft. But fortunately, nothing like that has ever come up, but it's always helpful to keep an eye out for those types of things. So by now, I hope you've come to see that Monarch Money is truly a personal finance control center. You now understand why the guessing game is a liability, and you know exactly a solution to solve that. In the meantime, check out my recent video on how AI found me the best high yield savings account right now, and which ones are paying the highest interest today. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video.